So, life is so bizarre, right? The social construct, the hierarchies, the dictatorships, democracies, venture capitalism. We as humans are a very weird being and species, right? We grind away for money that is made from thin air. It's not backed straight fiat. It's not backed by the gold standard like it was many years ago. It's just printed into thin air, and we work for it. We grind for it. So people don't have it. They can't eat. People have an abundance of it, and they're greedy and stockpile all of it. I'm very fortunate to have what I have, but in this civilization, we're constantly wanting more, and we're constantly like envying the neighbor, right? It's just crazy to me. Like, there's always going to be someone on another level than you, right? And it's very hard to accept in all aspects. And to be the best, it takes intense training, mindset, thousands of hours. Like, take guitar for example. Like, I'm an okay guitarist. I'll never be the best ever, right? And that's depressing to think about, but you have to accept it. I love video games. I'm quite good at games. I'll never be the best at any particular game, you know. Well, never say never, but I mean, to be the top, you'd have to like have the achievements, the accolades, right? In life, if you don't own 10 mansions and exotic cars, are you a failure? Not in my opinion. If you're happy, I think happiness is success. And the more you wrap your head around these things, the easier it will get for you. Because I spent a lot of my teenage years and in my 20s, just envying and being bitter. Like when you see people with like a trust fund from their parents, or their parents are paying for everything, it'll make you envious. Like, why can't I have that? I could do so much with this, right? But your parents may not, have the money, maybe lower class, and then you struggle a bit more, right? Or like, I collect a lot of things. In every diversified asset I have, I do quite well for a middle class. I make an okay wage. I do quite well, but there's always someone with more than me. Old cards. I have a great collection. Retro games. I have a collection people would dream of, right? But there's people online that put me to shame in every asset class. Weightlifting. There's always going to be someone more fit than you, unless you're a gold Olympian or you have an accolade of number ones in tournaments, or if you're like breaking records with weights, so on and so forth. You don't have to be the best. You can just have to put in all the effort you can and try your best, and you don't have to be the best. Just enjoy the time. There's 99.9% chance there's going to be someone who has more or does something better than you. You just have to have fun, All the mansions, all the exotic cars in the world, it doesn't impress me. It inspires me, and it is cool to see. And would I want that stuff? Sure, I would want it, but I don't need it. And it's easier to just accept those kinds of things in life. And the thing is, too, you have to realize 99% of people don't have those things. So when you're seeing people with all these accolades, they're like less than 1% of the population, really. You have to remember that. It's not like your neighbors around you have all this stuff, or they're achieving number ones everywhere, you know. But when you're on social media, that's what you're spoon fed over and over, and it causes depression. I've talked about it in the past. But if you have a roof over your head, shelter, food, basic necessities, and some things you enjoy in life, then what's the problem, you know? It's common for people. And I think it brings people down because they don't have it all. It's hard to accept that. And the older you get, the more you'll realize it's about happiness and social interactions. It's not all about the money. Yeah, money helps for sure. It's more about happiness and just trying to do your best and progress through this wild life. I think we all forget we end up in a grave. Hopefully there's an afterlife. And we're just stuck in this rat race, and there's so many egos and who's better than who, and arguing all over, and divisiveness everywhere. It's wild to me. I don't really subject myself to like political arguments, religion arguments, anything divisive. I stray away from now. I used to indulge in that stuff. It doesn't get you anywhere. Any type of ego driven stuff, I don't really try to say much to people like that. I do quite well. I can flex myself, and there's people that can outflex me, and I can outflex a lot of people. But you need to remember to be humble. You can, if you do start progressing and you're very productive, you can lose hindsight a little bit. You want to stay humble, you know. Remember your roots, where you came from. I always try to remind myself of times when life was a bit more rough, you know, and things could always be worse. And the more you remind yourself of these things, the more it will stay ingrained in you. I can walk. There's people that can't walk. I can hear. There's people that are deaf. I have sight. There's people that can't see. You know, there's quadriplegics, paraplegics, people missing limbs, people that can't afford any food. They don't have a place to live. They have severe addictions. There's war going on. Every day I remind myself of this stuff when I'm being a bit of a baby, right? I remind myself to stand up and keep going. Like, what, you have nothing to complain about. You have to really humble yourself in your mind on repeat, because there's all, on the other end of the spectrum, there's always someone who has it worse than you. Yeah, there's always like a king, someone who's the best. There's always someone who has it worse than you. Just remember that.